We are continuing in today's Mishna Yomi. Today we find ourselves in Berachos, Perek Gimel, Mishnayos Beis through Gimel, chapter 3, Mishnayos 2 through 3. Mishnah Beis says as follows, Kavra Meis. Remember again, we're continuing over here with the topic regarding those attending a levaya, attending a funeral, both attending as well as helping at a funeral. So they buried the dead, and then they're returning back from the grave. And remember again, the practice, that's still the practice today, is that after the kvura, after the burial is complete, we offer consolation to the mourners. If you have the ability to start and to finish Shema before the mourners reach your section in the shura, in the line, then you should do so. The imlav, but if there is an inability to begin and finish before the mourners reach you in the line, lo yaschilu, then one should not start shema. Then instead one should wait until after the mourners pass, after they've offered consolation, and then recite shema. Ha'omdim b'shura, those who are actively standing in the line, ha'pnimim p'turim. So those, now the inner part of the line means those who have direct contact, those who are directly in front of the mourners, so they are pater from Shema. This is in line, they're exempt from recitation of Shema. This is in line with what we learned earlier, that osik b'mitzvah pater min ha-mitzvah. When one is engaged in the performance of one mitzvah, that exempts one from a different mitzvah. So in this context, one is engaged in the mitzvah of consoling mourners, and therefore one is exempt from the mitzvah of Shema. V'achitzonim chayovim. But ultimately, again, those on the outer part of the line, meaning they don't really have direct contact with the mourners, they will be chayiv, they will be obligated in Kriyat Shema. Beautiful. That brings us now to Mishnah Gimel. Mishnah 3 says as follows, Nashim va'avodim ukitanim, women, avodim. Now, avodim in this context means avodim kenanim. An Eved Kanani is a non-Jewish servant. Now, the interesting part about the process for Eved Kanani is that an Eved Kanani is what we'll call quasi-Jewish, meaning what? That when a Jew takes a non-Jewish servant, there's a circumcision for men. There's what we call a milah l'shem avdus. There's a circumcision for the sake of servitude. And then we'll see, actually this will be in tomorrow's Mishnah, we'll begin to discuss it today. The Eved has certain mitzvah obligations during his servitude. Upon emancipation, the Eved Kanani, the Gentile servant, becomes a full-fledged Jew. So therefore, again, that's avadim, and kitanim are children. The common denominator is Peturin, me Kriyat Shema, or minat Tefillin. All of these individuals are pater from Shema and from Tefillin. Now, interestingly enough, an Eved, a Gentile servant, before he's emancipated and becomes fully Jewish, he essentially has the same types of obligations as a woman. Specifically, that he is exempt from all time-bound mitzvahs, what we call mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. Therefore, both women and avodim are exempt from Kriyat Shema and from Tefillin. Shema is a time-bound mitzvah, because you have to say it at a certain time during the day and a certain time at night. Similarly, Tefillin is also a time-bound mitzvah. You can only put on Tefillin by day and not at night. And the truth is, even if you hold that the time of Tefillin is at night, which some do, we don't wear Tefillin on Shabbos. So because both Tefillin and Shema are time-bound, therefore, both women and avodim will be exempt. Kitanin, a child, a minor, is exempt on a simple level because a minor is not obligated in anything. However, b'chayovin, b'tfilah, u'b'mezuzah, u'b'berachos hamazon. However, all three of these groups, women, avodim, servants, kitanim, children, are going to be chayiv in tfilah. Now, tfilah in this context, we assume means Shmona Esrei. So this is very interesting because remember, Shmona Esrei is also a mitzvah aseh shazman gram. It's also a time-bound commandment. The Bartanuris is something very interesting. The Bartanuris says the tefillah rachamim. Because what is tefillah in its essence? Tefillah is supplication. It's a reaching out to God. It's a dialogical connection because you need HaKadosh Baruch Hu's help. So the truth is, everyone needs God's help, right? Everyone does. Ultimately, again, even though you might be exempt from time-bound commandments, that's fine. It's not the pshat that I could be exempt. Everyone needs tefillah, which is such a profound idea. So because everyone needs tefillah, therefore halacha l'maisa, even women and avodim and ketanim are going to be the exception. A katan is not obligated in tefillah because a katan, as we said before, a child is not obligated in anything. So when the Mishnah says over here about chayavin in tefillah, it's referring dafka to women and to avodim. Now there's a whole discussion over here because, for example, the position of the Rambam is that the obligation of tefillah is fulfilled just simply with any dialogical connection to God. So a person talks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in their own words, not the words of the Siddur. the Rambam holds that one has fulfilled the mitzvah of tefillah. So interestingly enough, it could very well be also that when the Mishnah says that women and avodim are chayiv in tefillah, doesn't necessarily have to be Shmona Esrei. It could also just be in any form of supplicatory connection. Women are also obligated, and avodim are chayiv in mezuzah. Now the idea over here with mezuzah is, interestingly enough, why would you thought? Now remember, mezuzah is not a time-bound commandment. See, interesting if there's a whole discussion over here that mezuzah itself is linked to other mitzvahs which are time-bound, but nevertheless the Mishnah says women and avodim will be chayiv in mezuzah and birkas hamazon and benching as well. Now, interestingly enough, benching also is not really a time-bound mitzvah, but once again the Gemara gets into a discussion that since benching birkas hamazon is compared to other mitzvahs which are time-bound, and also other mitzvahs which have to do with owning land in Eretz Yisrael, which may only be applicable to men, not to women. So because there's a whole thing there for the Mishnah says that women are going to be obligated in Birkas Hamazon in benching as well. All right, shkach everyone, we will stop here for today. In Yirtzeh Hashem, we will continue tomorrow with Mishnayos, Dalid and Hey. Wishing everyone a good Tavach.